Spiritual awakenings don't feel like rainbows and roses most of the time. We actually will experience symptoms like, what are we doing? I'm feeling really confused. It can even be health ailments. And when we experience a spiritual awakening, it is really time to make a change. Welcome to Spiritual and Ambitious. I'm your host, Whitney McNeill. I'm a certified medium and spiritual teacher, and I help spiritual and ambitious souls just like you live your life purpose through your career and attract abundance by connecting into your intuition and spirit guides. Let's get spiritual and ambitious. Welcome to this episode where we're going to be talking about what a spiritual awakening is and how do you know if you're going through it. And I'm going to be giving you some tips as how to manage the symptoms that you might be experiencing. But first and foremost, I want to say thank you so much for reviewing the podcast. I want to give a shout out to Emily who reviewed our podcast. I love this podcast. Such a great resource for people exploring their spiritual path. Whitney is the real deal. Thank you so much, Emily, for sharing your experience with the podcast. And I'd love to give you a shout out too. You can head over to Apple to give a review so I can read it, or you can also rate it wherever you're listening from. Of course, you know I'd love 5 stars if you love this podcast. And now let's pull some cards before we officially get started. So the first card is the third eye chakra. It feels like it's important for you right now to really develop your intuitive sensitivity, your intuitive abilities, your intuitive gifts. The next card is it's time to stand out. So with this card, it is time for you to really put your energy out there. It feels like it's time for you to make your presence known. It is not time to blend in with everybody else. And it's so interesting because I just had these cards. I think it was the last podcast we did, same cards, but now they have different meanings. It depends on the message, the energy, what our spirit guides want us to know. And the last card is again the heart chakra. I just pulled these same cards today in different forms and fashions for my members inside of Aligned and for our podcast that we did, I think, the last time. And so this is about it's time for self-care. This is the card where especially it's important when you're going through a spiritual awakening. Really tend to your chakras. And, the spirit has given you all the things that you need to know. We just sometimes don't listen. So please listen. All right. So let's talk about what a spiritual awakening is. It is a time in your life where you feel that you can no longer move forward on your path without learning more about why you're here, why you incarnated, what your purpose is. And you know that you have intuitive abilities and it's time for those to awaken. You know that you have gifts to offer the world and you don't want to sit there any longer and just ignore them. It is when you are absolutely up against the wall needing to search for answers within yourself. You may have felt like you've been living somebody else's story, the beliefs you were taught, what society has taught, what our family taught you, whatever it is time for you to discover your own belief system and what you truly desire, why you are here, and what you can do to leave a mark in this world that is positive and beneficial for others. So when do we go through a spiritual awakening? Usually we go through a spiritual awakening when we are truly at a soul level ready to learn more and we are ready to make a change in our life. Even if our ego, even if who we are on a human level is like, oh my God, I can't make any changes. This is so scary. Your soul is calling to break through the bullshit and it's time for you to move forward into your authenticity. A lot of times this is because we are living an inauthentic life. We are in a wrong relationship. We're in a wrong job. We are really not being fulfilled on a soul level. It's time for us to move through and really learn more. Sometimes we experience spiritual awakenings by having our intuition validated. We're like, oh my gosh, I thought I saw that. Oh my gosh, I heard that. I felt that. I knew that. What does all this mean? Now I need to learn more. Sometimes we just get to a place where we say, I just am not happy anymore. I don't know what makes me happy. I need to figure it out. this is what is going on. And we can go through spiritual awakenings more than once in our lifetime. If we are lucky, we go through it once, meaning we go through a big one once where we really get redirected on our path. If we're really lucky, we are already on our path. But we need to be open for pivots and changes. I had a spiritual awakening where I was really living my life basically for what I thought I should do. And I really wasn't on the right path. And I got really, really physically sick, and doctors didn't know what was wrong with me. And I went through this deep exploration of why am I here? What's the purpose of my life? And what are these abilities that I remember I had as a child, but for some reason have left? And then once you're on the path, as you continue to make pivots and changes, you'll have little mini, let's say, spiritual awakenings where you are forced to sit on your butt and recalibrate and realign. And that's where a lot of us are right now, where maybe you've already been awake and you've already gotten your abilities, but now you're feeling like, I don't know what's next for me. I just don't know. I'm not feeling the zest for life, or I'm not feeling that excitement, or I'm not receiving my messages the way I needed to be. And so, what a spiritual awakening feels like can really hit us on the physical, the mental, the emotional, and the spiritual elements. And a lot of times we just know something inside of us. We just know something has to change, but we don't know what it is. We know we're meant for more, but we might not know what it is. It is this feeling like you want to break through and be who you really are, no matter who you're in front of, whether you are in front of business people, family, friends. You need to be who you are. In a way, it almost feels like you're widening your energy scope so you can break free from this cage that you feel like you've kind of put yourself in. It can be like you're breaking away from family patterns. You might experience a lot of confusion or cloudiness, and like everything you knew to be true is now gone. So physical symptoms, we can be excellent manifestors at manifesting physical ailments in order to make us sit on our butt, unfortunately. And I'm definitely raising my hand. I've done this before. So headaches, ailments that come up, things that kind of bother us, but now are really bothering us, manifestations of what you've been ignoring coming through, lack of sleep, our energy feeling wired or our energy feeling tired. We can just feel kind of out of sorts, like we're not able to focus. And this is really a place too, where if there's something you've been ignoring, normally in a chakra, if it's been a while, you will end up manifesting it physically into that body, that area of your body where that chakra resides. Now, a mental symptom, overthinking yourself to death, really feeling like you're indecision. You cannot make a decision. Feeling like there's no way out of your situation, feeling like you're searching for something, searching for clues. A lot of times we play the investigator, trying to go down these rabbit holes, figuring out what we need to be doing instead of listening to our intuition. We are just really sporadically thinking over and over and over. And this also leads to feeling tired and drained mentally. Sometimes our body can feel amazing, but our mental body is like, I cannot think one more step in front of what I'm doing. Now, emotionally, your emotions could be all over the place. Sad, happy, feeling like there's hope, but you don't know exactly what it is. Feeling like something's coming, but you don't know what it is. Feeling nervousness and fear. That's a big one where we fear, like, I can't see, it's unknown. What am I supposed to be doing? And a lot of emotion that comes up is worry, 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 worry. Feeling like I can't make a change. I'm afraid if I make a change, it'll be the wrong thing. And then guilt comes up if I do make a change and those things. Spiritual symptoms can feel like you have no direction from your spirit guides, no direction from your intuition. You question everything, feel like maybe you had a bunch of intuitive messages before and now it's crickets, or just feeling like you don't have that connection that you did before with your higher power, whatever that is for you. And then what happens is when we become awake and we move through these things, we have some different symptoms that I'll talk about right after this quick break. This episode is sponsored by my free Spirit Guide Masterclass. Inside, you'll learn the 5 C's of Spirit Guide communication, your role with your Spirit Guides, 2 proven effective strategies to stop second guessing yourself and your intuition, and the single most important step to understand your intuitive guidance, along with 4 ways to perceive your spiritual intuitive messages. You'll also be getting a workbook to go through this class as well. You can join at messengerspirit.com/free class. Welcome back. We're talking about what a spiritual awakening feels like and what the symptoms are. And we've gone through the physical, mental, emotional, spiritual symptoms. And by the way, this is not an exhaustive list. Everyone experiences their spiritual awakening very differently. I like to say that spirit gives you these hints like, hey, you should do these things. And then you ignore it. And then you kind of get hit over the head with a baseball bat. And then you ignore it. And then you hit the brick wall. So these can manifest as illnesses, worry, job changes, relationship changes. Kind of like when you're in a job and you know that you need to move on and then you just keep hanging on. Same with a relationship. And then finally, it's like, boom, this thing is like, absolutely leave, or you are now on your own, whatever it is. It's like that feeling, and you need to listen to that feeling. So, how do we get through it? One of the best ways to get through it is to really be gentle with yourself and give yourself the rest that you need. A lot of times we are in this place where we feel kind of chaotic, like we want to rush through, and we can't rush through. We need to listen to our own intuition. So, the best advice I will ever give you is to connect into your intuition. When I was going through my spiritual awakening, that's what I did. I read books. I took courses and classes to connect to my intuition. Of course, I have a course to help you with that, so you can check the show notes. But the more that you lean into your spiritual support system, to your spirit guides, and to your intuition, that is going to be the savior of everything. That is going to be helping you walk you through these important things. And especially when you feel like you have no connection to family or people that get you that you can talk to about this stuff, that is going to be absolutely really, really helpful. So be nice to yourself, eat well, give yourself energy healings, meaning get a massage, go get a Reiki session. Just allow yourself to listen to meditations, to spa music, allow yourself to let go. That's a huge one. We want to control this situation. We're like, I don't like how I'm feeling. I'm going to control it. Give me the wheel. And really what needs to happen is you surrender. You surrender to transformation. You know that all these things are happening because you need your attention to be focused elsewhere. You're going through a massive pivot, a massive change. And when you're going through these things and you need to focus your energies and your attention somewhere else, just do it. Focus on yourself. And you know what? If shit hits the fan, shit hits the fan. Allow it to hit it and feel that peace that happens within you. So strengthening your spiritual support system is going to be really key. But now I want to talk about what happens when you're kind of still going through the awakening, but you're not at that place where you've discovered what you believe. In order to find your abilities, you need to develop your intuition. The more that you explore and you listen to your intuition, it'll guide you into the right direction, to the right people, to the right places, to the right job, the right relationships, all the things that you need to learn. So once you feel like you have kind of come through that, now you have your belief system. Now you are opening up your intuition. We get into the symptoms of spiritual ego. And we can feel really happy and we feel like we don't need to be grounded. And we feel so elated because now we have come through that heavy time. We are on top of the world. We are connecting with our spirit guides and intuition. We are finding our purpose. And we have this electric positivity. However, that electric positivity sometimes only wants us to live in the spiritual world and says, I don't want to go back down to earth. I don't want to be dealing with relationships and money and jobs. And bills and all that stuff. I just want to stay and play, in the spiritual world now that I've opened up my abilities. But it's really important to get grounded. It's really important for you to say, you know what? I don't know everything now. It's almost like when we come through the spiritual awakening, we feel like we are so open. And when we're so open, sometimes we take in way too much energy because we don't have boundaries. And it's important for us to actually have boundaries when we are awake and we are learning. And one of the big tips I'm going to give you is when you finally feel like you are opened up and the egg is cracked and you're opening your intuition and you're learning all these things about the spiritual world, please still have discernment. Please still have this place of understanding what is aligned and right for you and what is not. Now, I've seen way too many spiritual seekers kind of go down some rabbit holes around information that's really not in alignment and not authentic. Sometimes people attach to a mentor where they feel like that mentor's words are gospel. And that's not what we want either. Sure, I want to help mentor you. I want to help teach you, but you still need discernment. You still need to be able to just really connect in with, is this the truth or is this not the truth for me? Because we are all different. We all believe different things. I'm sharing my truth with you. And I don't want to ever force my truth on other people. Sometimes people force their newfound beliefs on others, and sometimes they will really kind of subscribe to beliefs that they are just so excited about because they're new and different, but they haven't really investigated to see if it's true, if it's real, if it's authentic, if it's aligned. So just giving some words of wisdom there. And when you're in this place of the spiritual awakening, it feels freaking fantastic. Like, oh, I'm not heavy anymore. I know that I'm part of the universe and I can talk to my spirit guides and I've got clairvoyance or clairaudience or clairsentience. You got to come back down to the ground. You are born into this world to be a conduit of spirit and earth. So you still need to come back down and ground your body. You can't be in la la land or the woo woo world all the time. We can do it as long as you're still grounded. Okay, so how do you get through all these symptoms? Like I said, take care of your body. Make sure you're grounded. When you're on this other end of the awakening, sometimes we're like, I don't want to do exercise. I don't want to do walking. I don't want to do body things. Like, no, it's important to still eat. Some people have trouble eating. It's important to eat. Please make healthy choices when you're eating and find a routine that works really well for you. So pay attention to your body. Your body can get ignored. The next up is relationships. Pay attention to the relationships and see what relationships are serving you and what relationships are not. See what relationships can be salvaged and see what relationships need to be repaired and what relationships that you want to welcome and nurture. And when we're paying attention to how we are with ourselves, how we are with others, how we are with our relationships to spirit, that gives us a lot of clue. Now, another tip is therapy. Sometimes we need to talk it out with a therapist, somebody who is a professional. I see a lot of people go to psychic mediums and they should really be seeing a therapist. And whenever I was doing readings, I would see some people and they'd come to me with some problems. And the message from spirit was looking up a therapist. And I would give them a spiritual perspective, whatever my spirit guide said. But I was specific in that I'm not going to be giving you medical information. I'm not going to be counseling you because that is for a therapist. And oftentimes we need therapy to talk through our stuff, to talk through guilt, to talk through loss as relationships might leave, as our belief system changes. Maybe we want to make life changes in our career or moving and it affects family. So therapy can be great. Next thing is energy healing. I talked a little bit about this, but as you get energy healing, and this can also be meditation, do something that really soothes your energy. Energy healing like Reiki can be fantastic, whether you want to learn it for yourself or you want to get a session from somebody. But just sitting with meditation can be helpful too. Take some time out of your day for your mind to be clear and just receive. Just let the process happen. So energy healing, clearing, think peace when I say that. And then the last tip I'm going to share here is don't rush the process. We want things to change because we're uncomfortable in this limbo state, but you are like a butterfly going through metamorphosis. You can't rush the process. We want to be that butterfly. We want to be flying. We're ready. We're like, I don't want to be sitting here anymore in this goose state or a caterpillar state. You can't rush it. I've seen too many people want to make rash decisions because they feel like they are trusting their intuition, and then they make those rash decisions and then it doesn't necessarily work out the way they thought. Why does this happen? Because you are in transition, and when you're in transition, you're constantly evolving. So you can get an intuitive, yes, this is going to happen now. And then the next day, your energy is rapidly transformed into a different metamorphosis. And now you're aligned to something else, to something different. So this is another reason you need to have patience and don't make big decisions during this process. When you make big decisions like quitting your job or things like this, that can ultimately kind of turn in a direction that adds more stress to you. Sure, maybe it's time for a job change. Really have patience with, is it time to quit or should I make a change now? So really feel into it because you don't want to rush the process. And if you're a caterpillar and you make a decision, and then all of a sudden the next day you're a butterfly, it might not be aligned because you look completely different energetically. All right, so pay attention to the show notes to see what's happening. We've got an Oracle card workshop happening this month. It's a play day where we get together and you can do messages for other people live on Zoom. And we also have our annual Purple Friday sale. So check those out in the show notes. And I will be back next week with a brand new episode. But until then, here's to staying spiritual and ambitious. Thanks so much for listening to this episode. And if you loved it, would you please share it with a friend? I would also love your review and a reminder to subscribe so you never miss an episode. You can find me at messengerofspirit.com, and you can take the 4 Intuitive Languages quiz and find show notes there too. If you want to connect on YouTube, Facebook, or Instagram, you can find me at Messenger of Spirit. I'll meet you right here next week. Here's to staying spiritual and ambitious.
This podcast is part of the Sound Advice FM network. Sound Advice FM. Women's voices amplified.